Hello and welcome to this week's show as we sit down with a roundtable of authors discussing self-care for creatives as well as other great topics. We have so much in store for you guys as we sit down with the discussion of roundtable authors. Also this week, we have C.L. Cannon with her Indie Connection to bring a great list of books for us similar to After Love by Tanya Byrne. Let's see what she has in store for us. And then as the last 5 minutes roll around, we'll visit with Ron Lahr as he shares from his books and what's going on with him. Such a humorous and fun author full of wit and snark. Here's your host for today's show, Madilynn Dale. Hello, everyone. Welcome to This Week in Indies. We have a great topic this morning and some great authors for you. So, how about we get around to letting them introduce themselves? You guys ready?
Let's go.
All right. So, good morning, everyone. Nikki,
Morning.
take it away. Introduce yourself and then we'll go from there.
Where do you want us to start? Which one?
Go ahead, Nikki. You start.
I'll start. All right.
And then
Okay. So
we'll
hi. I'm Nikki Nelson Hicks. I am dressed for self-care today, as I can tell. I'm an author of several different genres. Let's see, which one of these am I going to pimp today? Galvanized Girl is a really it's a steampunky kind of alternative fiction, science fiction thingy about a woman who gets basically turned into this weird cybernetic kind of thing and takes down bad guys. It's great fun. My writing motto is pretty much cheap, quick, and weird. And that's pretty much what I go for. And I'm looking forward to talking about some self-care. I've got some opinions about some of the things we talked about. Mr. Bone Daddy's here. He's showing his self-care. And it's going to be fun. Let's get this freak show going.
Awesome. I was going to say, Nikki, that sounds like a great tagline. That sounds like a great tagline right there.
All right, Tim.
Oh, am I supposed to introduce myself now?
Go for it.
Okay, so so I'm Tim Niederreiter. I write science fiction and fantasy, but mostly kind of on the heroic scale, not the epic scale. You know, I don't like my giant multiple plot line books that much. So that's the kind of thing I write. But I also host a podcast where I talk to authors, and I'm just a little too verbose in general. So that's me.
Awesome. Alexander, we're going to drop down to you.
Hey guys, I'm Alexander Gideon. As many of you guys have heard, my writing style can best be summed up by the phrase, and many people died. First book in my series from Falstaff Books is A Web of Crimson. It's where Aleister Crowley's actually the good guy and works with a secret society for the Queen to investigate a mystical cult. Second book in the series, tentatively titled The Vault and the Vessel, is in copy edits right now, so I'm hoping that's going to be out by June. And I'm glad to be here. I'm also dressed for self-care today, though mine looks a little different.
Sweet. Ron?
Hello, my name's Ron Lahr. I write fantasy. I have a fantasy trilogy where it's first person, and the narrator is a sarcastic guy who helps save the world. And then I also write humor. I have a book called You're as Stupid as You Are Fat, How to Talk to Women. And then I write humorous science fiction.
How are you still alive?
All right, I'm not going to get really deep into it, but I did say that to my ex-wife once, and not
Your ex.
like right before the divorce, but years before. It really took time to sink in. And so when I put the book out, my oldest daughter liked it on Facebook or something, and my ex called me and said it was really nice to have our daughter like the worst thing anybody ever said to me, and that made me
Ooh.
feel pretty good.
Yeah.
So anyway, I also write humorous science fiction. I have a novel coming out called You Get What You Steal, and I garden, I cook and bake from scratch all the time. You know,
Yeah.
you know.
And trail off.
Adam?
All right, so my name's Adam Gaffin. I'm a science fiction author. I write the Cassidy Chronicles, and on the website, I've interviewed Nikki's shown up on the author interview before. And
Yay! Yes, I have. Yep.
yeah, I don't think I've gotten anybody else on the panel on an author interview yet, but we'll have to
Get
fix
on it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Anyways, the sci-fi series is the Cassidy Chronicles. It's a LGBTQ inclusive series. The next book, which is Into the Black, it is a collection of short stories and novellas, and it comes out April 18th.
Sweet. All right, guys. Thanks for introductions. I also want to mention our sponsor today is the Chapter Goddess, which is my website, and you guys can find it here. So check out my books and my work. So self-care, guys. What do you think about it? Do you guys practice self-care? Do you maintain a steady routine, or do you switch it up? Because I switch mine up kind of to keep it like new and fresh. So
you assigned us 2 different articles to read. Did you guys read the articles? Read the articles?
Yes,
My biggest yes, I did. Thank you. No, my biggest complaint about the articles was it was all like, I sit for an hour on my $1,500 Bodhi mattress and meditate.
Yeah.
Or I drink this certain kind of tea and I meditate, or I do all these really, really expensive, privileged, wackadoo shit. I'm like going, what about people like me who have a full-time job, a full-time family, and I'm trying to write a book or create a universe, and I'm supposed to find self-care? I sure as hell am not going to be sitting on a Bona mattress and staring into the whatever. Now, on the flip side, my therapist recently has told me I need to start doing that. I need to start spending 20 minutes a day doing nothing, because my mind is constantly doing this. And she's like, you need to start just doing nothing. So that's what I've been doing. And it's nothing expensive. It's nothing. I don't have to wear a new costume or anything. I sit and I stare, and I just kind of let my mind shut up for a few minutes. And that helps me a lot. But that's just something my therapist has told me in the past. My self-care routines are pretty much Pilates. You've got to move your body, because our job is very sedentary. Yet we are still monkeys. We are still very much this animal that needs to move. So I have my Pilates, or I like to go walking anywhere I can go, needing cool and find new stuff, because that helps generate new ideas. Hot baths are great. Things in the water, just anything that's cheap, because I'm poor. I just can't go out and do things like that. Also, time is also a very big thing. And also, I don't like thinking people have to think that they have to do something so extraordinarily esoteric.
yeah.
To, I mean,
Here's Anita's adding in something with that.
yes. And oh my gosh.
All of us on budget.
Oh, I can zone out to TikTok for hours before I realize it's been how many
100%.
hours I've been just flipping through the freaking TikTok.
Is that procrastinating or self-care?
Both.
A bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
I do have to say, I disagree with Nikki. I don't mind
tell me.
privilege or expensive things.
Mhm.
My issue with the stories was, or the one article was, it seemed like they almost all talked about a skincare regimen. as
Yes!
their
That
self-care.
is
And
true.
I'm like, wait,
I
so I don't
to
have a
agree, it's
skincare
weird.
regimen? I can't do
He had a
practice self-care?
15-step skincare regimen he got when he was in Korea on tour. I mean, seriously? You got Noxzema and some apricot scrub. Boom. There we go. Skin cut. I mean,
Yeah.
I ain't got time for that shit.
Ooh, Vanessa's got a good one.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's kind of where
yes.
I'm at on it. If I feel like meditating, I
Relaxing.
meditate,
Yeah.
or if I eat chocolate, have a huge glass of wine, that's okay
Yeah,
too.
Just glass. For me, also talking to other creatives is really good too.
Mhm.
Being around other people, just hanging out and just talking about what you're doing or what they're doing, and just being able to talk about your characters and your stories without sounding crazy. When you talk to other non-creatives about it, they think you're nuts.
Yeah.
They don't understand.
Yeah.
We blankety blank.
Yeah.
So
Adam, what
yeah.
were you going to say?
Oh, I was just, Vanessa makes a really good point. That really resonates with me. It's just, if I'm writing, if I'm sitting here thinking of what I'm going to do and, putting stuff down on, and getting words out, if I come to I'm doing something that I really want to be doing.
Mhm.
So it's different from somebody who's kind of forcing themselves to get through the day, they've got to find that little extra bit of motivation to get through the next hour or 2 hours
Mhm.
until they can call it, until they can finish for the day. So Vanessa's whole, just do whatever you want, when you want to do it. I'm free to get up and go do and, go read a chapter in a book, somebody else's book, if I want to do that, or go and torment the dogs with the laser pointer.
That's fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or do whatever it is. And then I come back and do what I want to be doing. It's not something I have to force. It's not something I have to think about. Okay, I need to step away from this because my blood pressure is getting really high. And if I see one more spreadsheet, I'm going to throw the computer through the window.
Been there. Yep.
So,
But also it's a filling of the well kind of thing. Sometimes when I'm working on a story, I can almost exhaust myself, especially if it's a very emotional or if I'm putting a lot of energy into it. And I also, I've done a lot of writers things, and a lot of the younger writers will come to me and ask me about that. About, I finish a story, now what do I do? And I tell them, you relax and you let the well fill up, because unless you're one of those lucky people who can just pop into others. I think it's one of the reasons why I do 3 or 4 projects at a time. So when I'm done with this one, I'm already working on this one. I've always got something waiting in the wings, but every so often my brain will go, I'm done. I need to stop for a while. And that's when it's time to, I used to call those my big depressive funks, but I'm learning those not depressive funks. It's just your brain going, I need time to rest and just time to
Recharge.
refill the well. Yes. And sometimes you just need to do something else. Paint, or just go for a walk, or just sit down and watch some Rick and Morty for 6 hours, whatever turns you on.
6 hours of a half-hour cartoon.
I could do that.
That's a lot of
I've
Rick and
done
Morty.
it.
That's all I'm
There's
saying.
a lot. I love Rick and Morty. There's a lot of Rick and Morty.
I've watched Scrubs for 11 hours straight before, so
Yeah.
Scrubs
Like-
was excellent.
this is my comfort show. Honestly.
Yeah, Scrubs is great.
Which Vanessa said something about Vikings too.
Mhm.
Oh, the new Viking show, yeah.
And then here you go.
More what?
More diversity.
Women-centered plots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in the Viking show. Oh, because of
One of the things that I thought about the articles, and I thought there was some good things in there, but it was the way it was presented a lot, and it was presented from a place of like, there are things like in the mornings when I wake up, when I'm going to work, I take the time, I make a bowl of oatmeal in the morning, and I sit there for like 15 minutes. I watch TikTok, eat my oatmeal. I started off that way. I'm not trying to be in a rush, be in anything. Like, it gives me time to wake up before I do everything else. I also have to kind of be more careful. Like, my self-care a lot is watching what I eat, because about 5 weeks ago, I have a diagnosis of diabetes now.
Mm-hmm.
And so honestly, it's kind of a good thing. My whole family's diabetic. It wasn't anything that was a shock that it was going to happen. It was just kind of, being as early as it is. But I felt better since getting a diagnosis than I have in like a year and a half. Just because, getting on, taking my medication, making sure that I've got everything, like I've got my blood sugar down and I feel great, but I have to make sure that I'm doing those things that keep making me feel good so that I have the energy. But I also think on the articles, the thing that got me was that, some of the things like, have that green tea in the morning, like that's fine. It was the way it was presented a lot. It was just like, yes, I wake up in my New York penthouse and I walk outside and sun my asshole for 2 hours before I go to my studio. And like, yeah, it's great.
It was,
we're thinking about the invisible particles.
Yeah. And it's like, if you have the luxury of only being an artist, that's great. But it's also like, how many of these things are actually being done? Or is this just a presentation of, I think this is what people want to hear that I do because of my position?
Right.
There's
Or because of my
plenty of
image.
Yeah, people want to know that they do this very
that they could have interviewed for those
thing.
Well, I did notice that.
It's also kind of shades of like the 4-hour work week where the solution is outsource a bunch of stuff and don't do as much work. Like that's not an option for most people. Most people can't hire people to do additional work for them and then just like, I only work 4 hours a week, but I have a ton of other work gets done that I used to do. That's that can be and that goes back to self-care again. It's a circle because you can kind of like, if you have the money to pay it to have an assistant, that's probably good and they can reduce the amount of stress that's on you. But most people don't have that option. Like and even what you said, Alexander, is like getting up, even if you get like I have to get up before sunrise to keep as a full-time author to keep up because that's just when I need to get going. Otherwise I'm not going to get what I need to do done in the day.
Exactly.
So
I recommend
it's not an easy. There's a lot of legwork that needs to be done.
Yeah.
I recommend getting a wife, even for women.
Can I get a wife? I've often wanted a wife.
My
I
wife's
have.
Man, I need a wife. I'm like, bring it. That's fine.
Because I've often thought, man, if I had a wife, that would be awesome. They could do the housework, they can do the laundry, they can do all the things that wives do. Especially when my kids were younger. I used to think, I wish I had like 4 or 5 wives. I would join a cult to get a sister wife to take care of these freaking kids.
Yes.
But
Smart.
no, I don't want to deal with other women. Or ugh.
Yeah, we don't all get to live in Downton Abbey or something where they just got servants for everything.
Once I did. I once lived in a house and I had a servant, and it was weird. I had to get over some serious white guilt. It took me. I never liked it. And when we got there, I was living in Oman in the Middle East, and we got the house, and Brian's like, "Yeah, Milani and they live in this little shack in the backyard," and I'm like, "I don't want that." Well, Nick, if you don't, they lose their house, they lose their job, they lose everything. Shit, now I got to have a freaking servant. So it was great. But at the same time, very weird. I never got used to it, and she did the basic, and she kept asking to do more things. I'm like, no, it's fine. Yeah, I will. No, this whole back area, that's yours. You do whatever you want, party all you want. Because I'm a Southern white woman. I got a lot of guilt. Okay, so no, I just can't. No.
I think something that should be mentioned a lot, especially for authors, because the articles that we read were kind of pitched from artists, like sculptors, painters, that kind of thing. Something that should be known. And I think in general, I kind of scream it to the heavens for all authors to know is that it may have been changed by now because this is 3 years ago, but in 2019, the average income for an author was $4,500 a year.
Oh, wow.
That is how much the average author makes on their books in a year.
Yeah.
That puts into perspective what we have extra income from being an author to put towards things. People are like, oh, you should, if you can't do your newsletter, pay someone to do it. Like, that's like, can be $100, $200, $300 a month to pay someone to do that, to pay them what they're worth to do that. Take that out of $4,500 and
oh no,
there ain't a whole lot left. Yeah,
no,
not a whole lot left.
To pay editors,
exactly.
Editors, pay cover artists, to pay people who actually lay out your book, and then talk about all the different cons and stuff you have to go to push your stuff. You never make your money back ever. So I try to think about that too much because I just try not to.
If we didn't love what we did, we wouldn't do it.
Exactly. I was at a con once, and it was a miserable con. It was outside. It was December. It was wet and rainy. I was miserable.
Outside in December?
It was stupid. It was so dumb. And it was, I was freezing to death. And I'm sitting there getting really, really depressed because there were lots of people, but nobody was stopping in. I was getting kind of like, oh, the fuck. But this woman I'm sitting with, she's as happy as a clam. She is. She's happy as a clam. And she's pushing her book. And I was like, she's like, no, look, this is my passion project. I love this. I am doing this. This is for me. It's fun. I have a job for bills and I have a job for insurance. That's my job. This is my passion. So I'm happy just to be here to show people my stuff. And I took away from that a great lesson of you're right. You should do this for passion unless you're really, really lucky and can do this for like tons and tons of money. But unfortunately, I'm not at that thing yet. If I ever will be. Which is getting to the point where I'm kind of okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Cons are a form of self-care for me, just because you get to go, and for that weekend, you are an author. That is all that you are while you're there, and it kind of lets you like live the dream for a moment, which is really great. And I love selling books. Like my current job right now is I'm an optical expert for a optometry office, and I sell glasses. Like selling stuff is something that I'm good at, which is weird because I am fairly introverted, but like I can flip that switch and and do that. Like,
put the face on.
One of my pitches at cons, I'll get, so if anyone like even kind of starts to slow down to look, I'm just like, hey, come here, let me show you a magic trick. Get them to come over, and I'm like, you put money in my hand, and a book appears in yours. That's how this
is. That's a good one. I like that magic trick.
It's good.
It's a great magic trick, and it works.
Yeah,
it works a lot.
I used to use the whole, what kind of books do you like to read? Then you get to people who read. So now I use the whole, so what kind of movies do you like to watch? And what kind of movies? Well, this book is a lot like that movie, and that helps. I love cons. Cons are great. One, because you get to put on the author hat, got the little tag. It says you're an author. Do the panels. You feel all special and pretty all weekend. But
I love the ones that
very different experience of cons than I do. I guess I've never felt less like an author than at a convention.
Really? Why?
Because there's at least the conventions I go to are filled with authors. Many of them make a lot more money than I do. And
me too.
And a lot of them wouldn't even see an independent author as being an author. That's the problem.
That's a problem too.
It's kind of an unpleasant experience.
Yeah, you're going to some.
Or they're like, oh, it only matters because like they'd rather, like if you publish a short story, it's more important through a magazine. You're of a higher status than someone who's just published a novel.
Yeah, or the people if it's just in paperback. It's not in hardback. It's not real. Thank you.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, also now any book can be in hardback thanks to pretty much all the sellers now do that for you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But no, I like
the formatting done.
The Southern Festival of Books, which is the biggest one here in Nashville. They used to allow everyone, and they kind of like promoted everybody in indie as well as regular. But anyway, now they don't. Us indies are pushed on this side road. We're down a hill, side road. But you're still paying the same amount of money everybody else is. This is not fair. If they're going to shove us off like redheaded stepchildren, they should at least give us a half off,
Yeah, multiverse.
Well, they probably think you have more money than the traditional.
I'm trying to. I put in my application to multiverse, but I've yet to be.
I'm still going to do mine.
I'll be there. If any of you are there, I will be
there. I was going like, you bastard, because I have a.
I got to make sure I have childcare first, and then somebody to watch.
And I'm going to say this: when it comes to cons, I don't have all that much experience as an author at cons yet, but
they're fun, but they are exhausting.
Yes, but I'll say this: having just come back from Superstars writing seminars here in Colorado Springs, that has people from the highest ranks of traditionally published and big name authors to indie authors who don't even have their first short story out there yet. But everybody who is there is accepted as a peer. That was just something extraordinary that there.
It's very unusual though. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. It is. Kevin J. Anderson, he was one of the founders. But Jane's Owen the guy who created Here There Be Dragons. He's another one of the founders there. And I actually got to spend time with him, just hanging out. And here I am with half a dozen novels, and here he is with worldwide acclaim. And we're just talking. So that is huge for self-care. Finding a tribe who accepts you for who you are, and you accept them for who they are, and that's just a huge recharge.
It is. It really is.
To be fair, I mean that the cons I've gone to regularly, like the local cons I go to, which are the ones I was referring to, about making me feel less like a writer or less like an author, or I mostly don't go to those for like panels or anything because I don't actually see. They're not very indie focused, right? So they're not that useful for me. But definitely I will go there because I already have friends that go there, and I'll just hang out with them, and that's what I do because it's a chance to get together with people I only see or only saw once a year, and now don't even see once a year.
Exactly, me too. It's one of the greatest things. There's friends you don't see except like on Facebook or online, but then yet you get to hang with them, and it's very fulfilling, and it really does fill the well and makes you feel better about yourself. And I don't know, hanging out with your buds.
Yeah, I gotta say though, I think my biggest self-care step as an author was to stop submitting to traditional publishers, which I did for 5 or 6 years when I was in my 20s. And I stopped doing that, and I decided to publish my own stuff because I'm like, why am I doing this? It just makes me unhappy. And I don't think they're going to, I mean, now I think I actually could be more successful there, but because I have a lot more experience.
Exactly.
But I don't care about it anymore. It just doesn't seem necessary. Yeah.
I like being independent is that you can write whatever you want to write, not worry about, is this going to fit into someone's niche?
Why do I have to go through a gatekeeper when they're already gatekeepers? They're called readers.
They're called readers.
You got, and they make more sense. It makes more sense that individual readers curate what they read than have some editor. Yeah. Anyway, it does feel great. It feels great, Margaret. Yeah.
It does.
It's really cool. It's a good feeling, and also there's a lot of people out there. I mean, I as a result of going to these more traditionally focused conventions, I meet plenty of people who are publishing short stories, and that's fine. And if that's what they do, and a lot of them do make a good, they do a good job with it, and that's what they like, and that makes more sense to submit to traditional magazines and stuff. But on the other hand, for novels, it just doesn't. But we don't have to go into that. This is going now, after all.
I think it depends on what you're writing, where you want your career to. Like, the next book that I'm writing is something that I will submit to the big publishers. Okay. I'm going to try to get agented on that one, but I also publish with Falstaff, who is medium press at this point. When you've published like 300 novels, I don't think you can call yourself small press anymore. And in like 5 years.
I'm not saying I wouldn't I'd turn down an agent or the big five. Hell no, I would not turn it down.
Well, I'd turn down an agent. I wouldn't turn down a big deal.
I don't have an agent, but I have friends who have agents, and all I ever hear is them bitching about it. And I'm like, is it good to have an agent then? Because all it's doing is making you crazy.
The whole querying process, it messed with my mental state. It was too much stress, too much anxiety on me. And that was another reason, going the indie route, it's not as stressful. I mean, it is stressful, but it's not the same kind of level as getting all those rejections and stuff. Because you just start putting yourself down and thinking, oh, my work is crap. Yes. But really, it's not. So
you're just on that person's.
There's this perfectionism that comes from trying to submit to traditional publishers sometimes. I mean, if people aren't viewing it appropriately, if you're submitting to an agent who can't even cut you a check, you're going to pay them if you succeed with them. Most of the time, at least, I think that's how it works.
Yes.
If you're doing that, well, then just look at maybe they don't want to partner with you, but you can't partner with everybody. You can actually really only partner with one agent at a time. So that's one way to look at it. But the other thing is that I've met people who would be writing ahead of me as far as how good their books were. If I read a few books, I beta read books and stuff, and they're like, no, I need to submit. This isn't good enough. I'm going to scrap it and go back. And they wouldn't even consider indie publishing for any titles, which is an interesting place to be. I think it's not one that I understand anymore.
I think for me, it's really, had I been querying when I first started when I was 19, it probably would have been a horrible experience for me because one, I wasn't good enough of a writer to be, agented at that point. I needed to, cut my teeth on trying to submit to things. And I started off with short stories. This one here, Persistence, this is actually a personal collection of mine. It's got 3 previously published stories and 3 stories that are only published in that collection. And some of that came about because I was submitting those other 3 stories to, kind of the pro markets. Because also for me, if I'm sending short stories out, I'm only sending them to the pro markets.
Yeah.
I'm not taking $25 for a short story of mine. I'm just not doing it like that. I am worth more than that.
Right.
And you get so many, I've seen so many authors that are like, oh, I got into this anthology and they paid me this and everything. And I'm like, that anthology is not going to be marketed. That no one's going to know that existed. And it's kind of like, did it matter? And now you have a story that has already been published that you can only publish as a reprint now.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know how much money you make on a reprint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also like
it is decreasing. I think it is.
Yeah. And I feel like for me, I can query, this novel knowing that I've got other things that are going to be published. Like this isn't the only way I can be published. And I know that I'm good enough to put my work out there. So if I get rejected and get all that kind of stuff, I'll give it a year or so and see if I can catch anyone. And then I'm going to go down. I'll probably submit to Bellbridge because they can also, because one of the things that I want is I want to be able to be in Barnes and Noble and have my books there. And so Bellbridge can do that, maybe not on the same scale. And then from there, I go back to Falstaff. Do you want it? If it's too similar to stuff that's coming out, and if not, then I will self-publish it. But like, there's all of the options, and I want to go down through the options. It's also just one of those like, hey, can I do it?
It's obviously it's your choice, and that's also a helpful way to, doing what you want to do, as Vanessa said, is the right move. A lot of time, if it helps you, if it makes you feel like, if it's what you want, that's a way to relax in its own right. You just go with the flow of where you're.
But I also
and having those options. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I also don't base the entire future of my career on whether or not I can be agented as well. No. Like, I know that I can be published other ways. Exactly. But it's just like, it's just one of those things where it was like, growing up, that was kind of what I, it's that dream there. And I'm just like, hey, let's see if we can do it with this one. Because I think this will be a series that'll fit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to swing us back to the self-care thing. Sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
Take the reins, girl.
I was just going to say, and this does tie to self-care, being, having those options, being able to say, well, I'm going to, try this for a year. And if it doesn't, then I've got other possibilities. That relieves so much stress.
Exactly.
That that in itself reduces the need for the extreme self-care. You can do the little things, the little things that help you relax, as opposed to, okay, I'm so stressed, I need a spa weekend because otherwise I'm going to blow up.
I gotta want one of those. Not gonna lie. I need one of those, which is, I'm actually kind of curious, what do you guys do for your self-care?
Well,
you guys go first. Go ahead.
My wife and I will, just take a short trip because of my mom with the Alzheimer's. We can't really at this time take a full vacation. One of us can. We can't do it together, and so we just go for a night. The most we'll do is to a hot springs or somewhere just to get away, even if it's in the city. We live in the country, but the nearby city, even if we just stay a night there to get away from all the responsibilities and stress and drink.
Yes. Do you think gardening is part of your self-care too, Ron? Because I know you do. You're very
passionate
about gardens. So
yes, not in the winter.
No.
Although I've been doing a lot of planning. But of course, every morning being out there. I'm out there in the morning and the afternoon at least. Even if it's 100 degrees, I still have to be out there a couple of times a day. And I take a bizarre sense of self-satisfaction when I want to cook something, and I make a shopping list and go out to my own garden to collect
That's nice.
all or the majority of the ingredients. So yeah, I mean, cooking, everything that I love to do, including writing, is a part of it. But I'll tell you, when it's those are also chores. I mean, watering, weeding, harvesting, processing, writing, editing. I mean, there definitely are things I need to do that are separate from the things I love to do that are just for me. Reading is a big one for me. Taking some time every day to just enjoy other people's work. I love that. I mean, shit, even watching a TV show at the end of the night is is self-care, just because it lets my mind go.
We've got a couple comments that are cool.
It's true.
Yep.
And then,
Interesting.
and then
Yeah, that's true.
I think that makes sense. Doing the little stuff can, the weeding or the editing, whatever it might be. I actually find that really relaxing now. Honestly, I find editing especially pretty relaxing. I mean, I don't garden, but no, I because I used to be really stressed about it, but then I realized that this is the time where I get to make the story what I want it to be, that kind of thing. And I actually think that's what.
What?
No, go ahead.
I thought maybe we were missing something.
Caring for a book is, it's like, it's just fixing the book, making it work is rewarding, and I think that's the thing that gives me the biggest boost out of it, though. When I know when I know it's actually viable and it can go out. I mean, especially when I was doing dictation for about 2 years there, I'd dictate the whole rough draft, and then it would be complete garbage, and I'd have to basically rewrite it, which is why I stopped dictating, more or less, because it just felt kind of like a waste of time eventually. I was going to have to write it almost all from scratch again anyway. But just the fact that then the book kind of appears, it's like the Michelangelo, was it? No, it was one of those sculptors, one of the Renaissance sculptors, who was like, I get rid of everything that isn't the statue.
Right.
Yeah, it's Michelangelo. Yeah, I think it was.
Michelangelo.
And that's that. And watching it appear is refreshing.
It is lovely. It's great, especially watching it being born, being just, yeah. Well, for me lately, because it's winter and it's cold, we can't just, if it's warm, we'll sit on the back porch and just kind of, my husband and I just sit, drink some wine, have a little board of cheese and meats and stuff, and just sit and talk. That's great. That's good for me. It's fun. I can talk what I'm doing. He can listen and ask questions, blah, blah, blah. But right now, the big thing we're doing is playing darts. We play darts usually every other night after I'm finished with my work. And we play darts. I get some wine, some snacks, and throw very sharp things at a board. And the drunker we get, the more it's more fun. It's better when I'm kicking his ass, but lately he's been kicking my ass, which makes me very sad. But it's great fun. It's just fun playing darts and cursing, and it's so much fun. Yeah. And for me, that's fun. Again, I think doing little things at a time so you don't blow up helps out. But yeah, it's got to be. And naps. I'm not a big nap taker. My friend Todd is a huge nap taker. I'm not good at naps. I'm a nap
taker.
I just can't. I feel like shit afterwards, and then I can't sleep. I have, So anyway, yeah, that's what I do. I love to throw sharp things at a board.
Yes.
Great fun.
I think it's funny that you guys were like, how much you love editing, because I just finished big second round developmental edits on the second book, and let me tell you guys, I absolutely fucking hate editing. Because I have a great editor.
I'm with you, Alexander. Fantastic. I hate it too.
But she, in the comments on that novella, she wrote more in her comments than I wrote in the book. Wow. Wow. That's great. It needed all of it. It absolutely needed all of it. But it's like, you get these big comments of on these things here, and then you end up having to read 2 pages to make sure you've got the context of where you're at, how to change it, and it just takes so fucking long. Yes, it is. But over that tangent,
for my own self-care, one of the things that I've been doing is we're at a point with the virulence of Omicron, coming down, being fully vaccinated, being boosted, seeing the numbers of, likelihood of severe disease and even the neurological symptoms, which I am actually the most scared of everything of COVID.
Yes.
Just because we don't know what the long-term effects of those neurological diseases are. Kind of like there are studies that show that flu of 1912 may have led to encephalitis lethargica, which may have led to getting Parkinson's. So we don't know how that goes. But I'm like, I'm as protected as I can be, and I'm in a work environment that's really inclusive, really nice. Like, I love all of my coworkers, and we go out. Like, last night we went and had drinks and went to this dessert bar, and I'm just allowing myself to kind of get out there and be as safe as possible, but have human interaction again. And that's part of my self-care there as well.
Ooh.
Also, when I'm writing, when I'm actively writing, not editing, I write. My goal is 1,250 words a day, 6 days a week, or about 7,500 words a week. And then I make sure, and that's generally like Monday through Saturday. And then on Sundays, I generally try to keep Sundays as I do nothing but what I want. And then I can spend time with my fiance. Like, we kind of make that our day. And I also game. And I game in an odd way. I've been playing Elder Scrolls Skyrim again, as people do. But when I play open world games like that, where you can go do everything, I create my own narrative in the game outside of what the actual story is, especially with the side quests and everything. So I create a backstory for my character and why my character is there and what they're doing and everything. And that it's kind of a way to still be creative, but to completely, it's nothing I'm gonna that's being written. It's nothing that anyone else needs to know about, but it's fun for me to be creative in that way, and then have the game to kind of see it happening in reality.
That's fun.
This kind of goes back to what Ron was saying. Sometimes when if it resonates with you, sometimes caring for somebody else, taking care of others, doing things for other people is self-care, because you're able to kind of step away from yourself and your needs and fulfill their needs. So cooking, I cook dinner for my wife every night. That's what I do. So, I get to do that whole dinner time. I step away from the computer, make dinner, feed the dogs. We sit down, we have dinner, we talk. It's a break. So Ron's gardening. We before everything, before the pandemonium, we used to do a lot of. We used to go on a lot of trips and go here and go there. So now we're looking ahead for a couple of years and saying, okay, where do we want to go? When we can get back to going places, and there are a lot of places that we're looking at going, but just looking at them is fun and and relaxing, and the what if and the engaging a different part of the brain kind of self-care.
Nice. I like all of y'all's self-care regimens. I try to stay active, and I do the whole do nothing for the 20 minutes a day thing, Nikki, that you do. That's really, really hard.
It's not easy.
Especially because your brain doesn't shut off. But I need that, especially as a mom, because it's not only am I having to care about me, I've got a 4-year-old, and then I got animals and plants and everything else. But yeah. And I also I'm trying to keep up with reading for fun, so to speak. But as a writer, sometimes you get that guilt. Instead of reading, I need to be writing and working on stuff. But yeah.
Or my writer brain kicks in and I can't enjoy the story because I'm too busy
Yes.
going, why the hell did you use that? Or you changed the verb text in the
Or you
middle of a
completely
Oh,
figure out
you
the
know-
story before it ends, and you're like, "Man, why did I finish this book?" Like,
Yeah,
why
oh,
did
no,
I
I'll-
do
That's the
this?
thing. That's the thing. I think it makes sense to not finish books if you're not enjoying them, especially as an author,
No.
as a writer.
I got no time.
I mean,
No,
I
can-
don't. I
The arts
put
are
down
fun.
so many
Yes.
books now. I've read so many samples that don't make it past that point
Oh, yeah.
because if I can't read a book that's going to make me depressed about how especially traditional books because like somebody had to gatekeep that, but like and let it through, and I'm like, what? How did this get passed on or whatever? Or just a book that, I mean, frankly, there's some very good books that I'm like, this is too slow, too much, so I'm out.
Mhm.
Yeah, even though I enjoyed parts of it, I'm like, I can't push through every part. I'm not going to just skip around in here, you know.
Yeah.
So eventually, I'd have to put that book down too. And I mean, I just think I don't think you have to be harsh, but being kind of judicious with what you actually end up reading is pretty helpful. At least for somebody
Very
who doesn't have a
helpful.
lot of time.
And
Yeah.
speaking of books, guys, C.L. Cannon has a great book for us.
Segue.
Yeah, so let's check it out.
You're welcome.
Hey guys, C.O. Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. Today I'm going to be telling you about some indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of After Love by Tanya Byrne. The first book I have for you is called Era by Adrian J. Smith. A ghost in the woods, a woman cursed, a park ranger with a choice, her life for another. Gwen has lived inconspicuously in Glacier National Park for the better part of a century, careful never to reveal too much. By day, she masquerades as the Era Ghost, the one who ushers in the winter every fall, to get a glimpse of what she will never have, love. In order to fully break the curse, she would have to risk everything. Kay loves being a park ranger, and every summer she searches for the elusive Era Ghost, a legend she's tried to prove for 3 summers. Little does she know, she comes face to face with all she's been looking for. But is Kay willing to give up her life in order to break Gwen's curse? The second book I have for you is called Valkyrie 101 by Arizona Tape. Her dream comes at the price of human souls. Ylvia has always wanted to become a Valkyrie, and now she's enrolled in her first year at Afterlife Academy, she's getting her chance. But nothing is simple about bringing souls to Valhalla, and she soon finds herself embroiled in ancient rivalries and new friendships. With more human souls in need of collection than ever before, Ylvia and her classmates are about to get a crash course in death. The third book I have for you is called The Willing by Lynn Hemphill. Kitty Wilson doesn't know how, but she can bring people back from the dead as long as someone is willing to take their place and keep the universe in balance. Oxford student Talia McGregor's life goes from bad to worse when she's killed in a hit and run. When the drunk driver responsible agrees to sacrifice his life to save Talia's, Kitty makes the trade and brings Talia back to life. Neither of them expects the ghost of Matt, Kitty's BFF, to come back with her. Kitty has to figure out how to untether Matt's ghost from Talia and bring him back for good. In her quest to discover the extent of her magic, Kitty must confront a secret society with questionable motives and connections to tragedies in her past, and a magical bloodline she never knew was hers. As the stakes and the spells rise, Kitty and Talia rely on each other to survive. But can they open their hearts and trust the magic of love? And the last book I have for you is called Assassin Reaper by Jessica Willis. A deadly female assassin, a mysterious stranger, and the secrets they're about to uncover about the mortal realm. Alo is one of many reapers of Vulture. She was born from the underrealm itself, designed to serve out the will of the council spirits and kill anyone or anything they instruct her to slay. But when a stranger from Alo's mortal past shows up during one of her assignments, Alo's left wondering what else the council spirits have kept from her, and just how far they're willing to go to protect their secrets. Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on the Indie Connection. Bye.
I'm sorry.
All right. Those sound like some great books.
Yep.
We've got a couple of comments.
Hi. Judicious is a good word.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, bye.
So, we're to that quiet point as in every show.
Okay, so there was a part of the article that I wanted to discuss. I forgot which one, but it talked about relationships, how that you should be very careful in your relationships. And this reminded me of when I was in college, and we actually had a teacher tell us, it was a creative writing course in college, tell us that if you wish to be a writer, you cannot get married and you cannot have children. You have to focus all on your book. To which I was like, fucking too late for me, because I've been married for 20 years and got 2 kids. So what am I supposed to do now? And I know, and I've always thought about that guy. I always have. I've thought to myself, seriously? Really? Now, it is true. I mean, it's really, I'm always surprised how people, especially women who have kids and husbands and all the bits, and they're popping out the books. And all I could think about is, what kind of drugs are you on? Because I don't have that.
Caffeine film.
Oh, so much caffeine or something. You got just mainlining that stuff. But I found that very interesting. But a part of me kind of rebelled, like, how dare you say I can't have all the things? At the same time, there is certain, you should be more cautious about some relationships. They will suck you dry, especially the naysayers, the ones who tell you that you're not a real writer, that you're wasting your time, yada, yada, yada. You know, vampires. The ones who just get in your life and just start sucking you dry because they can't do it, or they make fun of you. And so, yeah, I guess you really should. But at the same time, you know, I don't know. I think, yeah. Go ahead.
No, just to expand on what you were saying, you can have the relationship and be a writer, but you have to be in the right relationship. The best, the better relationship, because you can be in a relationship with an energy vampire for years and you can deal with it. It's not so bad that, you can't, that it can't survive. But if you try to do more, then there's nothing more to give. So you have to have the right partner in order to do that. So they are right, but they're also wrong at the same time. And I was laughing because at Superstars, one of the small presses that was there, they put out a call for submissions. It's Impulsive Walrus, and they put out a story call for power couples writing power couples. So they want stories about couples written by couples, because the people who run this press are a married couple, and they were told when they were going to start their company up, oh my God, don't do it. It's going to ruin your relationship. And this was like 10 years ago, and their relationship is going, even stronger now. So this is their response to the people saying you can't do it. Yes, we can, and we're going to celebrate the other people who do.
My husband's often wanted to do a panel of the other side of the desk, as we wants to call it, and it's basically the partners of writers and what they do to want to help their partner, or the challenges of being, like, for me, when I'm deep in a story, deep in a project, I'm not here. I tell my family I'm going dark for a while. Mommy won't be around. Don't come to me unless you're bleeding from the eyeballs or the house is on fire. I'm busy. And my husband will be the one who will knock on the door and go, hey, do you need something to eat? Or he will pull me. He'll realize, okay, you haven't eaten in 18 hours. He'll drag me away from the desk and take me somewhere to feed me, to make sure that, and that's, I call him my Watson. He's kind of my psychic anchor. He keeps me here, because if it wasn't for him, I would just sit here and just starve to death. But
again, the right partner.
A right partner. But if you do have a partner who needs constantly your attention, oh, no, it's not going to happen. Yeah, because I'm not here half the time.
Right, and that goes to Karina's point about it being her comment about it being a solitary profession. Yes, it is. But as writers, we've got to remember to come back to this planet every so often.
And we're all social. It's like what you were saying earlier, Nikki, about us all being animals, but we're also all social animals. So we need some time with other people, with our loved ones and stuff. There's no replacement. I mean, even if you are an introvert, replacement for occasionally at least getting some human contact. Not to mention, if you don't have that, you're going to forget how to do it. I actually think that's you're going to forget how normal people act, and that wouldn't be
how to human. I'm going to forget how to human. Yeah. Also, I think if you don't, you kind of sucks up your storytelling because you forget what humans are about. It's one of the problems I have, like the later Stephen King short stories or novels, is that hasn't been in the real world for so long. All he ever writes about is other writers, or everybody in it so sterilized, and his children are completely. I can't believe any of his children. It's because he hasn't been in the real world for a long time. Mm-hmm. He's
something that I've on that point with the being solitary, something I've seen some people do is having a writing group. Either if you're lucky enough for your writing group to all be like in the same area, meeting once a week, once every 2 weeks or something, and spending time together, but writing. Or something I'm thinking about with my writing group, because I'm in Asheville, one's in Winston-Salem here in North Carolina, and one of us is in New Orleans. And I'm thinking of doing, of kind of proposing, and I've seen other ones do it, of having a Zoom call or maybe a Facebook call, because there's 3 of us, because you can only do 40 minutes for free with more than 2 people on Zoom. And sitting down and being like, we're going to do this. We're going to have this up. We're going to be able to see each other, but we're going to write. And it gives you that moment of like, hey, I'm stuck on this part. Like, what do you guys think on that? And like, be able to kind of like be there, but also like be able to have that time to work and all be together. Also, Nikki, I'm really hoping that professor said it really early in the semester, so you can just walk out instead.
It was.
Because I would have walked out.
That was a really crappy class. And my favorite teacher was the one who started off the very, very first semester telling us all, I made $1,000 last year in my writing career. And if you're here to make money, you're not going to make any money. And it was great because the class was like 50 people. And by the end of that semester, there was like 10 of us. Because he was just flat out honest. You're not going to make any money. If you're here to make money, he's not going to make any money. And you will be sued if you ever to get published. So don't worry about that. It's going to happen. You're going to get sued. And this is California. So it was a whole different. So anyway, yes, I did have something I was thinking about.
Something else I was thinking about, kind of on that, like having the time and everything is part of the self-care that I think any writer should put in is, one, set your word count goal lower than what you think you should do.
Makes you feel better.
Yeah.
You want to break goals, not continuously find it hard to meet them.
Yes.
For a while, my word goal was 500 words. I knew I could do that. I set it at 1250 now because I know I can do 1500. I can do 2000, but that gives me, a good amount to be able to finish a book in the time frame that I want to. But I think that whole professional pace, that is like the worst idea anyone came up with. Like I get that they're like, it's supposed to be like 2,000 words a day. I'm like, yeah, man, like you have new writers coming in thinking that that's what they should be doing. Like that is damn hard to do when you're starting out.
Right.
Like,
no, don't worry about that. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it can be damn hard to do when you're on a day where where the story just isn't, the story or the dialogue.
Yeah.
It's just not flowing. I'm totally with you. On the setting the goal. My goal is to write something each day. And if that's 50 words or 5,000, I'm happy at the end of it, as long as it moved the story, whichever one I'm working on. As long as it moved it forward, I'm happy with whatever I get out there. I'm really happy when I'm up at the 5,000. But hey, anything is good.
I don't worry about word count. I just worry about I figure out scene. I want to get this scene done. Sometimes when I'm really like going, I'll say, just okay, Nick, just do one paragraph. Just write one paragraph. Yeah. And it usually gets the ball running because I'm lazy. I'll just get, but I do it by scene by scene by scene. I want to get this in. One thing I wanted to bring out, you talked about having a Zoom meeting with writer buds. Actually, I do it every Saturday, but it isn't like we write because I can't write with other people. I need to be alone. Yeah. But the deal is we get together every Saturday night and we watch a movie. We go on Amazon Prime. We pick a god awful movie or a good movie, but we'll spend the first 20 minutes just talking about things going on, and then we watch the movie, and then afterwards we sit and discuss and deconstruct the movie. Why was it bad? Why was it good? It's a storytelling exercise. And it's so much fun, especially if it's a bad movie. Why did that movie suck? And let's discuss why it sucked and how you can possibly avoid those storytelling traps. Why was it good? Let's build upon that. And it's great fun. And it's still, so I'm getting writing stuff done, but I'm still hanging out with friends, peoples, even if it is online. But this is basically our life for 3 years now. So seeing people in little boxes has become my life. So we're the Brady Bunch now. We're the Brady Bunch generation.
I think it also kind of, for me, like what you write on a day, that self-care is in seeing where you're at, because your best is different from day to day. So on a normal day, I'm like 1,250 words. On a bad day, I may be like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write for an hour. Whatever I get in that hour, because I have to have those, like, I have to have a goal. I have to have a goal that I'm hitting personally. And, it's like, I'm going to write for an hour, maybe on a bad day. Maybe on a good day, I'm like, hey, let's push that up. Like, let's set that goal at 2,000 because I'm feeling good. The story's there. Let's hit that. But it's like, and then there's those really bad days where you've just got to be like, I cannot write today, and I'm going to be okay with that.
That's true.
I'm not going to guilt trip myself. I'm going to take the day because I need it. And it's knowing where you're at and knowing yourself well enough to be able to, have that conversation with yourself of what you can do that day.
On those days, I usually edit. Like if I just can't.
I was wondering the same thing. I don't know.
Editing, advertising, doing something on Canva. Something that's related but not exactly writing.
Yeah, just something. Just to keep
because
the wheels.
Maybe it'll trigger something.
Maybe or not. That's cool too. But sometimes just keeping the wheels turning.
Ooh, yeah, NaNoWriMo.
When I edit, it's always I'm going to edit for a certain amount of time. Not.
I'm just.
Playing it for hours on end. I try to do that and it kills me.
I've got to say,
but on
for
a
some people it
different
really
note.
Works.
Okay.
Here we go. Sorry, guys. I'm interrupting here. Self-care is important. We all agree, right, guys?
Right, it is very.
And everything. Let's go ahead. We're going to wrap it up here. We've got a great 5 minutes coming next. Alexander, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you and your work.
All right. Well, you can find me right. Let me get my finger right there. AlexanderGideon.net. I've got everything on there. It's got to be my events page needs to be updated because I've had a couple of cons tell me no. They were set as pending. It's got all of my events, links to all of my books, links to all of my social media. It's the best place to go to find me and figure out links to my blog. Soon as I can get it up, it'll have links to my newsletter as soon as I get that started. Everything will be on there. So AlexanderGideon.net, best place to go.
Sweet. Tim?
So yeah, simple for me, timniederwriter.com/books. That's where you can find all my books. There are too many to talk about really, but I do have the Demon Hunter series. Demon Scroll is the best place to start with that. I'd recommend that's a good place to start with my work in general. Yeah.
Cool. And then we go to Adam.
All right. So, yes. CassidyChronicles.com.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
CassidyChronicles.com. That's the best place to start. Like Alexander, you can find events, you can find free books, you can find links to the audio books, sample chapters, all that good stuff is up there. The new book is coming out in April. And Multiverse, I'm going to be there in October, and I'd love to see as many of you there as we possibly can.
And if I get accepted to Multiverse, I'm going to buy you all drinks.
Ooh, me too.
Might hold you to that.
We'll take turns buying rounds, Alexander.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hi, I'm Nikki Nelson Hicks. You can find all of my stuff at my little bing, bing, bing right there. Boop, right there.
It's hard.
It is. It's weird. And also, I'm, of course, available on Amazon all over the place. So yeah. And also I have a lot of social medias. I'm on all the social medias, TikTok to Facebook to Twitter to Instagram, all the things.
All right. And then I'm Madilynn Dale, guys. Here's my website.
She's been
I've been
practicing.
So it's also super long. You can find links to all my social media, all my books, and yeah, it's all there. Huge shout out to Joe Compton for letting me take over and host today. He's the best. And while we're here, guys, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. We have a lot going on this week with Go Indie Now. They're great. But yeah, and now we are to the next thing with the amazing Ron Lahr. He's going to share about his books and take it away for the next 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. Great job today, Maddie.
Thank you.
Congrats. Normally I would read from one of my books, but I have a lot of stuff going on right now, and the biggest ones have to do with my collaborating partner, Robin Burchett. We went to high school together, and we wrote a bunch of stuff back then, and now we have a book coming out. You Get What You Steal. It's a humorous science fiction novel, a little goofier than most of my other humor. We have senses of humor that go well together. I tend to be a little drier. He's a little goofier, and when we put that together, I really enjoy the results. It stars a trio of ultimately galactic criminals, galactic outlaws, I should say. And yeah, I very much enjoy collaborating in general, and working with Robin is a treat. He's very smart, very funny. And we'll be doing our own show on the Go Indie Now network called Indie Mayhem. It's a game show. It's going to premiere at the end of next month, the end of March. And I'm hoping all the people who are on here today will be contestants, because all the contestants are indie creators, either writers, musicians, filmmakers. We have a couple voiceover people who do audiobooks, narrate audiobooks, as well as other things. People in the industries who support, indie creators. And so everybody will get a chance to promote their stuff. But it's designed to reach out to everybody in the world that speaks English. Hopefully if they enjoy laughing, enjoy being entertained. Because a lot of our shows on the network are kind of inside baseball. They appeal to indie writers or indie creators, but they're not as much for the fans. And so Robin and I are really trying to do something that will appeal to people beyond the indie community and allow us to expose indie creators to all of those people. And so it's going to be a little goofy, a little zany. We have the name Mayhem in there for a reason. And I'm very excited. I didn't only invite Robin to be my co-host because he has super high-speed internet, but it was the main reason. Because I live in the country, and while that's awesome for farming, it is not so great for getting internet. There's like high-speed internet a half a mile away, but because the population density is so low where I live, all the companies that are involved in high-speed internet here are like, we have no plans to ever come to your house. So Robin has awesome internet, and it's great when we're on a show together and I'm all pixelated and slow and he's all crisp looking. It really drives home that difference. But I'm very excited to have the show. I mean, I'm really excited about the book too. You Get What You Steal, I hope will turn into a 25 book series. I have a lot of ideas for that. The characters are just so fun. And we actually wrote it as a writing exercise one day, taking turns writing a page and just handing it off to the other person. And I mean, it required a lot of editing because that was very disjointed. But it was really a fun, creative experience. and now to see it be released is really exciting. But other than that, all I can say is You Get What You Steal comes out in a week or two, and I hope you will check that out. And Indie Mayhem premieres end of March. If I haven't already talked to you, it's only because I'm so freaking busy. In terms of the people here on the show today, please all consider yourselves invited to be a guest. And other than that, the only thing left to say is there is always time, or it is always time to go indie now. I love you all.